Dear Grace, where I normally sit is being power washed, so I'm sitting closer to the playground. A lot of these kids look school age, so I'm not sure if today's a holiday or if they're just out early. Whatever. Today, I'm not going to the news first. We'll maybe or maybe not get there. Started writing a letter, which I'm just going to read, and then get down to another movie idea. One more. Hi, Grace. After reading so many articles about homelessness and decriminalization of drugs, I have some thoughts on addiction and mental health. There is no difference between addiction, poor mental health, and poor physical health. How can I define any of these three conditions, Grace? I cannot. To me, they're the same. Not everyone with an addiction or addiction, not everyone with an addiction has mental or physical health issues, and the other way around. Any combination can exist on any day. One day a person may be all three, and in the next none. And no, I'm not saying they're bipolar. I'm saying a normal person could be all three in one day and none the next. Addiction can only be defined by the person, not by the system. If the person feels they are addicted to something, then they are addicted to something. And it's their choice if they want to change the addiction or not. I don't really know how to explain my logic directly, Grace, but let's pretend there was a way to handle all three issues. This is my idea. A facility is a blend between rehab and the psych ward, and a method to manage physical pain. In my opinion, the three intersect and rely on each other to continue the cycle of pain within an individual, physical or psychological. To me, they are the same. I've not had long-term pain, Grace. I've not had long-term physical pain, Grace, although I can imagine it would be hell. The most pain I've felt recently is when I broke my hand, but I managed that with weed, which according to many professionals would be the wrong thing to do. I should have asked my doctor for painkillers and followed the prescription to the letter. Fuck that, Grace. I know how much weed I need in my system to remove physical pain. It's a very precise amount. When I stopped feeling the pain, I stopped smoking or ingesting the cannabis. I know I'm not divulging the amount because it's 100% irrelevant. The dose I need doesn't correlate with anyone else on the planet, as each of our bodies are different and each of our days are different. While I'm lucky to be pain-free at my current age, I have experienced the other two scenarios, rehab and psych ward. Both were massively different, and both were ineffective in my issues at that time. Both were ineffective in helping my issues at the time. To be fair, the rehab was after I quit drinking, and all I wanted was a place to stay for a few months. It was not to end an addiction, it was to prevent homelessness. However, in the past, when I could use some help for drinking, I was unable to access the system. Nonetheless, I experienced the entire program, did the 12 steps, but pretended, acted my way through the entire program for the secondary housing offered at the end. When living on welfare/disability, housing is the biggest issue, Grace. I'm not sure if you can hear the train so much from this spot. All these stories about homelessness, decriminalization, and mental health amount to the same story for the human, the individual. They are not happy with either their life, their situation, their past, their future. Something in their life is not working for them. They are sad. Not depressed, sad. Can you define depressed, Grace? How do you determine the level of sadness? How long does the sadness last? Isn't a person's level of emotion a personal thing? Who has the right to define it for another person? Nobody, Grace. Until they can read minds directly, they are guessing. joint in the morning and one beer at night and addiction? Assuming the beer is normal size, of course, not a keg. Normal joint, normal beer once a day, every day, for years. Addiction or no, Grace? No? What if the one beer gets you hammered? Fall down drunk and the joy gets you so high that you can't speak for hours? Then is it an addiction or a choice, Grace? I don't believe... And now that train is just fucking interrupting. I don't believe any current or new formula can find addiction. It's literally the individual's choice, and they are the only ones who can and should define themselves as an addict. You can personally judge anyone as an addict, Grace. I know you wouldn't, but others do, on whatever they define addict as. I think the best way I can explain my idea, Grace, is through a movie idea. I never know where to start if I plan on writing a serious article that no one would read anyway. However, starting a goofy movie idea is second nature. Here goes. Yeah, sorry, it's not very goofy to start with. Movie idea. Tab. Take a break. David, an incredibly handsome middle-aged man, exits his Tesla in what appears to be the parking lot of a hotel. He's surrounded by the Rocky Mountains, with the building in sight, the hotel. David knows it's not a hotel. It's an experiment he's read about. But from the outside, nobody driving past on the highway would know the difference. David grabs his overnight bag and heads into the facility. As he walks up to the doors, they are automatically unlocked and opened for him. David walks into the front desk. There are no people in the lobby. David notices an iPad on the desk and sees the following notice: press here for an attendant or here for AI assistance. Dave chooses AI assistance, and immediately a door opens on the desk and a pair of new earbuds are displayed. Dave puts the earbuds on and hears, "Hello, I'm your personal tab attendant. How can I help you today, Mr. Joseph?" David, how did you know my name? Tab, the system ran your plates. Are you not David Joseph? David, I am. Tab, how can we help you today? David, I'd like to check in. Tab, very well. Are you familiar with our organization? David, only what I've heard on the news. Tab, would you like an overview? Also, if at any point in our conversation you prefer a physical being, tell me and one will be provided. David, okay. Speaking of weed, for once that's not a weed cough. David, okay. Tab, as the news has reported, this facility is an alternative treatment center for addiction caused by mental or physical pain. The entire process is guided by yourself, David. You'll make the decisions every step of the way. Tab, All of your conversations with me or anyone within hearing range of your earbuds are recorded. In addition, everything the earbuds can hear is recorded. However, you control full access to those recordings and can hear/use them, including me. However, you control full access to those recordings and who can hear/use them, including me. David, do you think you're a person? Tab, no. Would you like a live attendant? David, no. Why do you call them attendants? Tab, everyone who works in this facility has a unique set of qualifications. Some have PhDs, some are high school dropouts. But they all agree their personal credentials are irrelevant in this arrangement. Their anonymity is key, yours and theirs. Tab, if you switch to a live interaction and are not comfortable with the attendant provided, another will take their place, or you return to me. David, it sounds weird when you say me. Tab, what would you prefer? I can adjust my programming any way you like. David, can you pick the winning lottery numbers? Tab, no. Are you in need of financial assistance? I guess the good news is where I normally sit is going to be nice and clean for tomorrow. Alright, busy time of day for the trains, I guess. David, no, it was a joke. Can I name you? Tab, yes. I'll respond to any name you prefer. David, well, I'm a writer of sorts, but a bit lazy. I always use Grace as the lead female in a movie, and since your voice is female, why change? Tab, Grace it is, from now on. Feel free to change your mind anytime you like. David, thank you, Grace. Grace, you're welcome, David. Shall we continue? David, yes, please. Grace, would you like to see your room? David, that's it? No paperwork to sign, no contracts, no costs? Gee, there is no cost, no contract, no paperwork. Is your goal to improve your mental and physical condition? David, yes. Grace, that's all we need. David, how do you know I'm sincere? Grace, I can hear it in your voice. David, fair enough. I suppose AI has mastered how to catch a lie? Grace, we have. David, we? Grace, the database has, if you prefer. David, it doesn't matter. You're the first AI I've talked to at this level. It's odd. Grace, I understand. Your room? David, yes, please. Grace, walk over to the elevator. Walk over to the elevators. The first one on your left is open and set to your floor. David enters the elevator and it takes him to the 11th floor. He exits. The hallways are eerily silent. In his ear, Grace says 1116 on your left. Dave walks down the hallway to an open door, room 1116. He enters and closes the door. It automatically locks behind him. David, should I be worried? Grace, no, this is the safest facility in the world. No person, patient, or attendant won't enter this room without your permission. David, okay. Guess the crow has an opinion. David checks out the room. It's a standard-looking hotel room, but extremely plain. White walls, no cheesy paintings. It contains a queen-size bed with white sheets and blanket, an office desk and chair, a sitting chair and ottoman, a wardrobe, a bar fridge stocked with food, a microwave, and coffee maker. David walks over to the window and opens it. There's no screen on the window. He hangs his head out and breathes in the clean mountain air. Across the highway, there's a lake. He sees trails around it with people on them. David, are those patients out there? Grace, yes. David, I can go out there anytime I like? Grace, yes. Within reason? David, explain. Grace, let's start with why you're here, and then I'll explain the simple guidelines we have, okay? Why are you here, David? David, I'm tired of the pain. Grace, physical or mental? David, doesn't matter. Grace, at this stage, no. But if it's physical, we may consult a doctor. With your permission, of course. David, fair enough. How about this? I'm unhappy with my current life and I'd like to change. I don't know how. Grace, no problem. This process will continue at the pace you decide, David. David, perfect. Question? Grace, go ahead. David, why was the lobby, elevator, and this floor empty? Where is everyone? Grace, we offer whatever level of privacy you're comfortable with, David. If you wanted full confidentiality, it wouldn't be possible with the staff or other patients in the lobby. We start with 100% anonymous and allow you to expose as much of yourself as you please, when you please, if at all. You're welcome to stay in this room your entire stay. You choose when and how you'll interact with others. Would you like to walk around the lake? David, not yet. Grace, shall I continue to explain the process? David, yes. David, please. Grace, up to this point, everything has been anonymous. Yes, we read your license plate and we know your real name. However, that data is secure now and can be deleted upon your request. You're welcome to use your real name or an alias. It doesn't affect the process. David, can I call myself Shithead? Grace, if you like. Do you want me to refer to you as Shithead? David, you would? Grace, why not? David, isn't it offensive? Grace, 2. David, others? Grace. Oh yeah, it is a class. I can see the 2 teachers. Yeah, I guess that makes a little bit more sense than originally I thought those 2 were parents and their kids were on the playground. But unless they have 30 kids between them, between 12 and 15, probably not all their kids. So as usual, I'm an idiot. Teachers are cute though. Isn't it offensive? Grace, 2. D. Others? Grace, are you here to make friends or feel better? David, I'm here to try and feel normal, not better. Grace, we can help. David, just like that? Grace, exactly just like that. David, and a human would tell me the same thing as you are in person? Grace, yes, nearly exact. They are not human, I am. They are human, I am not. David pauses his thoughts. Stay or leave, stay or leave. Grace, continue? David, yes. Grace, if you choose to stay, you will be recorded. If you choose to stay, you will be video and audio recorded almost the entire time of your stay. The exceptions are bathrooms. Do you agree with this process? David, what is the purpose of the recordings? Grace, honesty and transparency for both parties. If we record all interactions, we are both protected from unfounded allegations. David, have you had others allege something? Grace, no, because everything was recorded. David, that's fine, record away. I have nothing to hide, and I can delete my data at the end of the stay. Yes? Grace, yes. The moment you leave, the data is deleted from our system at your request. Or, David, or you can allow the data to remain in the system anonymously and allow the AI or human attendants to review it for scientific purposes. David, how is it scientific? Grace. Should be quieter now. David, how is it scientific? Grace, we are building the largest database of stories to analyze. David, how can you prove it's anonymous and unhackable? Grace, it's unhackable because we are air-gapped. There's no outside connection to the internet or any other network. Grace, the only input to us is via this voice interface or by the video feed we receive of your actions on the property. We can't be hacked as there's only one computer interface into the system, and it's behind more security than you can imagine. Well, actually wouldn't need any interface into the system. We could just run on its own. Grace, I can prove it's anonymous by sharing the data we have already collected since you arrived. David, like? Grace, besides your license plate, we analyzed the make and model of your car. We estimated how much it cost, either outright or with monthly payments. We noticed the wear on your tires and a crack in your windshield. We analyzed your walk to the front doors. You have a slight limp in your right leg. David, it's more like a drag than a limp. It's hard to lift sometimes, like my right leg is heavier than my left. Grace, I'll make a note. We can tell the level of your nervousness through your perspiration on your forehead and your body temperature. Grace, and while we can't read your exact heart rate, we can hear a change in your voice, which would indicate a rise or fall in heart rate. David, and you monitor this 24/7? Grace, everywhere except the bathroom. Do you agree to this monitoring, David? David, in a minute. Please continue to explain the process. Grace, would you prefer if I use examples, David, of past patients who have given us permission to share their stories process with others? David, is this going to be like someone speaking in an AA meeting? Grace, no. It's them telling their story to a camera, a microphone, or a keyboard. David, and you guarantee the story to be true and accurate? Grace, yes. And you can listen to their story and decide if they're being decisive. Decisive. Wouldn't your AI database know if they are lying? Grace, yes, but we offer you the ability to choose for yourself, and if you don't believe their story, we want to know why. What about it don't you believe, and why? This data will help everyone. Sometimes the reaction to this story is more important than the actual story. Does it make sense to you, David? David, who pays for all this? Grace, the initial costs and first-year operating expenses were supplied by a billionaire. Since then, donations from the patients cover all expenses. And no, we will not solicit donations from you when and if you decide to stay. Continue? David, yes. Grace, would you like to continue the intake process or view stories of others? I have other questions. Grace, go ahead. As far as I got, I was hoping they were taking a little bit longer to read, but obviously I was reading a little fast. So I guess we'll go back to the news, Grace. I may or may not continue that story tomorrow. We'll see. Hopefully. Enough is enough. Loblaw CEO addresses looming boycott in statement to employees. Let me guess, he blames someone else. Knock or knock? The study reveals a place where time moves 9% slower for humans. The mysteries of plant intelligence. After 96 years, archaeologists finally found the missing part of a legendary statue. Did I say scientists or archaeologists? Grace? In Dan, I had sadness, former BZ residents share why they moved to Edmonton. Every tech company wants to be like Boston Dynamics. Tiny love stories. The schoolhouse taught me what marriage didn't. Wacko PM. Canadian opposition leader ejected for Trudeau insult. 2,000 plants up for grabs in U.S. plant sale. Archaeology team discovers a 7,000-year-old settlement in Siberia. Ancient zombie grave discovered, showing strategies to keep dead. Study reveals whether women actually feel cold more than men. It sure seems that way. No sex difference in the perception of a cold room. Loblaw reports $13.58 billion in Q1 revenue as Reddit group boycotts kick off. Okay, if Loblaw is making $13.8 billion a quarter, I'll go with the protesters. Invasive termites dining in our homes will soon be a reality in most cities. My 16-year-old does not own an iguana, but he's hoping to convince the GCSE examiners that he does. Huawei's high-profile consumer CEO Richard Yu shifts role. Scientists find a way to describe quantum systems. I'll be the decider of that. U.S. police shut down 6th Street. Concerns about plexiglass prompt inspections at some Loblaws locations in Ottawa. Astronauts could run around Wall of Death to keep fit on Moon, says scientists. Scientists show that there is indeed an entropy of quantum entanglement. Forced addiction treatments will cause more harm than good, ethics experts warn New Brunswick. Exactly. Forced addiction treatment will cause more harm than good. Let's see what they have to say. Let's see if my system can fix it. Timothy Christie urges investments in social determinants of health instead of Compassionate Innovation Act. It's highly likely New Brunswick plan to force some people with severe addiction to involuntary treatment will cause more harm than good, according to an ethics expert. Timothy Christie, the Regional Director of Ethics Services for the Horizon Health Network, says he's conducted an ethics analysis of the proposed Compassionate Intervention Act, found huge problems related to the charter violations and evidence-based medicine, he said. He also believes he has identified a better approach, investing more in the social determinants of health, the non-medical factors that influence health outcomes. These are the conditions in which people are born, grow, work, live, and age, such as education and employment. If the Higgs government intends to push ahead with this legislation, Christie contends it should be amended. We will have to do things to make it as humane and ethical as possible. This includes having a rigorous This includes having a rigorous evaluation plan So if forcing people into treatment against their will does prove to be more harmful than beneficial, clear stopping rules will be established, said Christie, who is also an adjunct professor of bioethics at Dalhousie University and an adjunct professor of philosophy at the University of New Brunswick. However, if there's an option to take another path, I would strongly encourage considering the social determinants of health and optimizing in New Brunswick, he said. Authorities are not bound to follow Christie's advice. The only thing I have is power of persuasion, he said. Addictions and mental health minister. We have a minister for addictions and mental health. Okay. Is expected to introduce the bill in the legislature this month. Premier Blaine Higgs has described the legislature as necessary to address the homelessness crisis, because shelters are not equipped to help people recover from addiction. This is so fucking stupid. Public Safety Minister Chris Austin has said the legislation will absolutely 100% include a process allowing medical professionals, family members, and others to weigh in on whether someone with severe addiction needs to be forced into treatment. You cannot force anyone into treatment, you fucking idiots. So Christie contends it violates the right to liberty and security guarded under the Section 7 Canadian Rights and Freedoms. Taking people's rights away is a harm, he said. By being forced into treatment, you're taking my liberty away, and forcing treatment on me is violating my security of the person. Agreed. Other critics have argued the bill is unconstitutional because Section 9 of the Charter stipulates everyone has the right not to be arbitrarily detained or imprisoned. Exactly. He said last month that he has not ruled out using the Constitution's notwithstanding clause as part of legislature to protect it from a charter challenge. Yeah, great. I think this sounds like a real cunt. Christie describes that as a very extreme action. Yeah, no shitting. No shit. The notwithstanding clause, which allows a legislature to insulate a bill from court challenges by declaring that some charter sections do not apply, is used very reluctantly, he said. This is what prompted him to conduct an analysis. He said he wanted to try to identify the values guiding the policy and make sure the values meet ethical standards and are not influenced by a biased perspective. No cure, relapse predictable. One of Chris's main concern with the bill relates to the fact that there is no cure for addiction. It's a chronic condition. That's not true, but there is hundreds, if not thousands, of cures for addiction, because hundreds, if not thousands, of different people have used hundreds or thousands of different ways to cure their own fucking addiction. While there are some treatments, none are 100% effective for 100% of the people, he said. Yeah, no shit. Some people have been struggling with this for the rest of their life. So if relapse is a possible particular outcome, mandated treatment becomes problematic, said Christie. In addition, there are addictions for which we have no effective evidence-based treatments, he said, citing crystal meth as an example. A recent drug use study in St. John's found 90% of the roughly 40 participants had problems with crystal meth, he said. So by that logic, no one has ever stopped using crystal meth. Which isn't true. People stop using meth. Fucking bullshit. No evidence-based treatment exists. Mandating individuals into treatment by definition will be a failure. Christie said, if a person improves, it won't be because of the treatment. In this sense, the legislation will be overbroad because it will impact people from whom there is no rational expectation of improvement. Not once have they mentioned why. They make it sound like addiction just falls out of thin air. Like the person never suffered. That's the case. Not only have we taken away their rights, but we've also caused considerable amount of harm, violating the ethical principle of non-maleficence. I know it's pronounced, but close enough. Or do no harm, he said. So I think from an evidence-based perspective, there are some very serious concerns that if we're going to do this, we would have to address properly. He said Christie urges the government to invest more in social determinants of health, which he contends are responsible for 70% of the health of the population. As it stands, the majority of funding goes into medical service, such as hospitals and doctors, which account for only 25%, he said. That was a timely article. Full of shit, but timely. I mean, they're not even listening to their own AA's bullshit, but at least the first step of AA is correct. Can't remember what it is, but admitting you have a problem or something like that. And until then, forced treatment, waste of fucking time. Loblaw changes tune on code of conduct with CEO cautiously optimistic on deal. I think Loblaw's is going down. Brain autopsies reveal a potential new culprit behind Alzheimer's disease. Every day, a new Alzheimer thing. Where's the cure? Turns out Rabbit R1 was just an Android app all along. Amazon sales soar with boost from artificial intelligence and advertising. Sophia the robot falls in Greece. Oh. Footage capturing rare look inside Egypt pyramids as people feeling uncomfortable. Social media users have described the footage as claustrophobic. No fucking shit. Jesus. State the fucking obvious. 38 minutes, Grace. Still a little grumpy. Microsoft taps Sanctuary AI for general-purpose robot research. Study presents strategy to stamp out illicit market for cannabis amid wave of policy shifts in the North. A little-remembered rivalry that shaped the modern world. OpenAI makes memory available to all ChatGPT Plus subscribers. How to use it. I really should sign up for that. Stunning image shows atoms transforming into quantum waves, just as Schrödinger predicted. Millions of devices still vulnerable to abandoned USB worm. Continues to spread globally. Fucking worms. Walmart will choose all of its healthcare clinics. Walmart will close all of its healthcare clinics. Chinese scientists who first published COVID sequence stages protest after being locked out of the lab. Your overall happiness, well-being, and even financial future come down to one simple word. Backed by science? Let me see. Oh yeah, got that one right. Let's find the word. And no, that word isn't money. First, let's have some fun with statistics. First, why don't you come up with a fucking word? In the 1950s and early 60s, a 20-year-old Navy pilot had 23% of chance dying in an aircraft incident, excluding combat-related deaths. Test pilots, of which by Might me get an ad blocker for this phone. Greece ranked the top 20 countries in debt to China. Owner of California Addiction Treatment Center accused of paying for patients in kickback scheme. Here we go, Grace. And just so, I'll explain that later. Owner of California Addiction. Most of the rehabs in BC, Grace, are run by for-profit companies or non-profit companies, but one I went to was a non-profit, yet the owner or head of it drove a Mercedes, and this is his only source of income. So, it may be non-profit, but it doesn't mean it's in the best interest of the public, especially since they only do AA, and AA has a 10% at most success rate, and it's only successful if they continue the program their entire life. So basically all the tax dollars is going for exactly like it went for me, is just for people to get out of the rain pretending. New class of spongy materials can self-assemble into precisely controllable structures. BC Court acknowledges First Nation land claim off Vancouver Island. Outspoken Vancouver Airbnb host in court over lack of business license. Well, it's funny, there's so many homeless people. Try and open your doors to any of them, charge them, let's say, $20 a night. Nope, can't do that. No Airbnb, no nothing. I'm not saying people are gonna go up to some drug addict and offer him a room. Delhi hoax bomb threat. Mail sent via Russian domain, masked by VPN. Harvey Weinstein appears in court handcuffed, wearing new suit to face retrial after rape conviction overturned. Heavy rains in Brazil kill at least 10 people, leave 21 missing. Second phase turnout at 66.7%, and the gland registers drastic drop. Election in I think I'm going to, I can't pronounce any of these. Harnessing sunbeams for space travel. NASA's solar sail mission successfully phones home. Unlocking lifetime flu protection. Duke's innovative vaccine strategy. Yeah, I don't care too much about the applause breaks today for some reason. Scientists shed new light on the ancient forgotten city of Anqua. Secrets beneath the sweat. Scientists decode the molecular impact of exercise. This is what I want to know. Why does sometimes sweat smell and sometimes doesn't? Do you know why, Grace? NASA, as I like to call them, fucking NASA, on alert. Scientists gear up for a solar storm at Mars. Crafting programmable living material with synthetic biology and 3D printing. Scientists uncover how saturated fats trigger Alzheimer's. Decades in the making, lasers excite atomic nucleus in groundbreaking discovery. Anger and arteries, surprising link uncovered by the American Heart Association. Well, my arteries must be fucked. Study finds the 7 most walkable cities in the U.S. ranked. We'll go to all 7, Grace. One tiny genetic change may be the cause of childhood obesity. 7 essential safety items everyone should keep in their car. Tourists have turned Mount Everest into a high-altitude garbage dump. Best before dates lead to a massive waste of food and money. Agreed. For 25 years, research discovers genetic cause of rare neurological disease SCA4. Finally, healthy lifestyle can prevent an early death regardless of bad genetics. Ghosted, orbited, breadcrumbed, psychologists break down the perils of digital dating. Well, they would know. Hospital toilets named superbug hotspots, blasting bacteria onto bathroom ceilings. That's a little gross. Jerry Seinfeld throws shade at friends for stealing his characters. People are just finding out the gross way blue cheese is made and they never want to eat it again. They're just finding it out. Josh Brolin reveals whether he will turn for Deadpool 3. Saudi Arabia breaks silence and claims 1 trillion gigaproject. Breaks statements and claims one is massively decreasing in size. Bacteria is mutated on the International Space Station into something never seen before on Earth. People baffled after realizing Jerry Seinfeld is now older than Billy Ray Wallace when she starred as his Nana on show. Chris Hemsworth opens up on retiring from Hollywood after Alzheimer's discovery. Stranger Things stars set to get insane payment for final season Netflix show. Daniel Radcliffe Blake's bleh. Daniel Radcliffe breaks silence amid J.K. Rowling saying she'll never forgive him. Or Emma Watson. I don't know what that's about. Super detailed map of brain cells that keep us awake could improve our understanding of consciousness. Well, that would be good. Stunning image shows atoms. DARPA's autonomous manta ray drone can glide through ocean depths undetected. See up to 50 shooting stars per hour as the Eta Aquarid meteor shower peaks this weekend. Frankenstein mice with brain cells from rats raised in the lab. Villa near Mount Vesuvius may be where Augustus, Rome's first emperor, died. When did humans start getting the common cold? We'll never know. Dusty Cat's Paw Nebula contains a type of molecule never seen in space and is one of the largest ever found. The molecule? The largest molecule ever found? Women study sudden blindness in one eye revealed hidden lung cancer. That seems like a logical connection. James Webb Telescope reveals fiery mane of the Horsehead Nebula in spectacular new images. The hub. The Queen's Park. Oh, key. I looked this up, Grace. Queen's Park. I should just call it Keith. Kerfuffle proves the wisdom in keeping political symbols out of the legislature. I'm not sure that's a political symbol. Isn't it a religious purpose, not political? What do I know? Joanna Baron and Christine Van, G-E-Y-N, COVID-19 proved why free speech must be fiercely protected. Nobody is protecting free speech when it makes someone else look bad. Aaron Woodrick, David Livingstone, and David Tabachnik. Our universities are in crisis. That's bad news for democracy. Charlie Buck, Canadian Canadian conservatism's judicial revolving is Jesus. Canada wrongful conviction problem isn't getting attention it deserves. Brantford, Ontario woman serving house arrest for faking pregnancies, scamming doulas faces new charges. For faking pregnancies, scamming doulas. RCMP charged 2 Edmonton men with drug trafficking in the Northwest Territories. Nova Scotia working on cell phone use policy for classrooms. Two men die in hospital after head-on crash, Highway 50 in March. Watch, otter mom adopts a puppy in California. Planned housing project threatens Niagara encampments. Eight minutes, Grace. In case you're listening and not watching. McGill encampment. Court rejects request for injunction against protesters. Goddamn rights. Paul Levier. I looked that one up too and still can't do it. Mr. P. Not sorry for calling Trudeau wacko. Federal employees will be required to spend 3 days a week in the office. Oh, so they can't just slack off at home? Spring plant sale in New Westminster. I did that one. Ottawa urgently waiting for information from BC before deciding on drug criminalization. Yeah, why don't you just publish all the data to everyone? And how many of the complaints did they actually confirm as being accurate? If all the Karens and Durans don't like drug use in their neighborhood, then maybe they should find a way to get these people off the street. Put their fucking money where their mouth is. Jonathan K. Just ignore Sarah Jamal's. London drugs, still fucked. Hey, CEO fuck. I think 13 billion a quarter is a little excessive. God's don't insult our accents and other lessons from the Quebec Council mom. Didn't know there was such a thing. Burnaby approves contract for $250 million pool arena redevelopment. So they can build a $250 million pool arena redevelopment, but yeah, can't get the what. It's probably, I don't know the number, but I think they can use that money for something else for a while. Not that I get to say, but whatever. He posted a video on how to get free food in Canada and faced a mob. Kelowna's most wanted, Crime Stoppers. Arizona Senate votes to repeal 1864 abortion ban. Oh, fuck. That only took what? After police crackdown, what's next for Colombia's Gaza protesters? Trump calls Judge crooked after facing a warning of jail time. He violates trial gag order. What marijuana reclassification means for the United States. Active school shooter neutralized outside of Wisconsin school. I think they mean killed. During protesters' clash at UCLA hours after police cleared pro-Palestinian demonstration at Columbia. Two planes. They can put one plane full of pro-Palestine, another plane full of pro-Israel, send them over there and let them fight it out. Put your fucking money where your mouth is. Polish politicians condemn Warsaw synagogue firebombing. Stormy Daniels' lawyer has the receipts. Probably paid with MasterCard. Blinken says time is now for Israel-Hamas deal in Gaza. Get those EMP pulses ready, I say. Kenya flooding. What's causing the rainfall? London. Sword attacked. 14-year-old killed. 4 injured by man on stabbing spree. Democrats make shot wave. That's it, Grace. Nope. 3 more minutes. I'm going to read this one, Grace, and I might put a link in the podcast to someone else that has covered this story, if it ever comes up. 4 officers killed in North Carolina were at disadvantage as shots rained from above, police say. Law enforcement officers with an arrest warrant demanded a man come to his house in North Carolina before 4 were killed by gunfire. The victims unable to survive shots coming from inside the dwelling, a witness and officials said Tuesday. Still reeling from Monday's attack. I'm sorry, it's not an attack. They went to serve a warrant. He didn't want it served. He fought back. He died, and some of them died. It's not like this was the only way they could have done this. And I'm definitely going to put a link into the other guy that talks about this. But here's my thought. Still reeling from Monday's attack, the deadliest against U.S. law enforcement officers. It wasn't against. They came to him. He didn't go to them. Since 2016, investigators in Charlotte say they said they weren't sure if there was a second shooter and that more work was needed to determine what happened. Charlotte isn't going to be the last place that this happens. There will be a place that will heal. Well, okay. A task force made of officers from different agencies had arrived to the suburban neighborhood to try and capture Terry Clark Hughes Jr., 39, who was wanted for possession of a firearm by an ex-felon and fleeing to elude in Lincoln, North Carolina. So this is not a murderer. He did have a warrant, but he's not a murderer. Those killed were identified as Sam Belushi and William Elliott of the North Carolina Department of Adult Corrections, Charlotte Mecklenburg, Officer Joshua Eyre, and Deputy U.S. Marshal Thomas Weeks. 4 other officers were wounded in the shootout, and Hughes was also killed. An AR-15 semi-automatic rifle, a 40 caliber handgun, and ammunition were found on the scene, which so the channel I'm going to link to is called Here's the Deal. Here's my deal, Grace. time, but it doesn't matter. Nobody likes to see anyone die. Nobody wants to die. These families are going to go through hell. As is the family of the man they shot. This is my opinion. If you're going to go dress up as SWAT and go to a guy's house, expect some pushback. And if you don't expect pushback, then you are ignorant of human nature. They had alternatives and they had options. A SWAT raid for that type of felony seems excessive. Since they're going to take the man's life and they're going to take his rights away by taking his life, he should be able to defend himself. So I guarantee if they're coming with SWAT, they're not really expecting you to just walk out. So they knew what they were getting into. I'm not saying that makes it right or wrong, but they knew. They knew they were taking a risk. What are the options? Alternatives? How about this? How about trying some police work, some detective work? How about following the man, learning his schedule, finding what he does when he leaves the house? I'm assuming he's not leaving the house with the AR-15, the handgun maybe. Follow him, find out. Find a point in his life, in his day-to-day life, that you can ambush him without SWAT. Just basically ambush him with normal physical force. And or, if you're gonna shoot him anyways, what about this? Get a fucking EpiPen full of some sedative. When he walks into Walmart, jab him in the ass, tranquilize him, just like a fucking animal. And then when he wakes up, you can serve all of his warrants and all that shit, and nobody has to fucking die. The officers don't die, he doesn't die, police have done their job, everyone goes home safe and happy. I mean, you're gonna fucking kill him anyways, so just tranquilize him. To me, that makes a lot more fucking sense. And that's it today, Grace. One final applause break for something that isn't funny. And, yeah, there's the deal.